Remember that, what was it? It was 2 weeks ago that we had that article where the CSPs were saying nobody cares about cloud costs anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Well, here's the alternate view. Yeah.
Here's the rebuttal, right in your face.
Welcome to the Cables to Clouds podcast. Cloud adoption is on the rise, and many network infrastructure professionals are being asked to adopt a hybrid approach. As individuals who have already started this journey, we would like to empower those professionals with the tools and the knowledge to bridge the gap.
Hello, and welcome back to your Fortnightly Cables to Clouds news episode. I will be your host today, Alex Perkins. I am at Bumps in the Wire on socials, joined as always by Chris and Tim. Chris is at BGP Main. Tim is at Juan Golbez. We're going to jump right in because we got quite the episode this 2 week period, right? There's a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of stuff that has happened. We got a big one from Cloudflare, and since I'm the only person that doesn't work for one of these vendors, I'll just lead us right into this. So Cloudflare bought a company called Nefeli, and they're basically integrating it into their Cloudflare One platform. You know, they have like Magic WAN and Magic Firewall, and I think everything's like called Magic something, basically. This one now is Magic Cloud Networking, and essentially it's Cloudflare entering the MCM or multi-cloud networking market. The funny part is that there was an article that they did with Silver Linings that basically they called out, they think Alkira and Aviatrix multi-cloud approach is outdated. So as you can imagine, this stirred up a little bit of controversy. There's been some interesting threads on LinkedIn and whatnot about it. But I guess as far as the technology goes, my understanding is Nefeli, they use just APIs, right? Like that's how they coordinate all the multi-cloud networking, is that they just do API calls to all these. So I don't know feature-wise, like how fleshed out this thing is. Nefeli doesn't have a website anymore. There wasn't a whole lot of information about them. I think they had, I read something like they had gotten 8 to 10 million or something investments so far. And there just wasn't a lot known about them. So do you guys have anything to add on this one?
Yeah. So, Tim and I will probably use the automatic disclaimer that nothing that we say on this podcast reflects the opinions of our employer. But first of all, I think the thing is, this is a good thing. Obviously Absolutely. We're on a podcast that focuses on multi-cloud, hybrid cloud networking, right? So this is even more validation that this market is a thing that's going to be here to stay. So a couple points that I will make about this is absolutely what this product or offering is going to do. I see value in it. There's definitely value to orchestrating this end-to-end multi-cloud network across all your environments, et cetera, right? There's definite value in that. The thing that I'm curious about is if you're doing that, you're always going to be limited by what the CSP offers to you, right? If you want to purely focus on a cloud native perspective when it comes to networking, you're going to be limited in that capacity. So I'm with you, Alex. I'm curious what features you can really add on top of this and what you can really expand it to. And I didn't see a lot of detail in here about visibility. Right. So I'm imagining that there's probably some flow log ingestion component to it. It's hard to tell because I can't see Nefeli's website anymore, so I don't really know the details about their offering. But yeah, I'm curious to see where this goes. The only other commentary I have about it is I hate the term magic. Like magic is something that's unexplainable, right? There's no detail as to how things are happening behind the hood when it comes to magic. But technology should be something that is predictable and able to articulate, whereas magic does not correlate with that. So that's one gripe that I have. But
I think I think the magic bit, and I don't know this, right? Because I don't work for Cloudflare. I've never asked anyone who works there. But if I had to guess, their whole magic bent is probably based on the is it Arthur C. Clarke?
Yes, I was just going to say that. Yeah,
any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. I think that's probably what they're going for. I mean, or maybe I'm giving them too much credit, and their marketing just loves the word magic, thinking everything's simple. So I'm hoping it's the former. That yeah. Anyway, so my thought about this is very close to yours, Chris. It's a good thing. Get another player in the market. Honestly, for those who may not already know, pretty much every networking MCN vendor that I'm aware of does some form of cloud orchestration already. I mean, you kind of have to, otherwise you're just doing your piece and you're relying on the customer to go figure out the cloud native part on their own. So, just put that out there that, if Nefeli's just doing cloud orchestration, there's a lot of value to that. I'm right there with you that I think it could be limited. But what I'm really interested in is not so much. Well, I say not so much, but the product, yeah, is interesting. I'm curious to see how Cloudflare integrates it with the rest of its portfolio. Are we going to see like a hybrid? Are we going to see a hybrid cloud WAN type of? I mean, not to use the AWS term, right? But like you got Magic WAN, you've got your cloud networking. Are they going to try to marry the two and get a hybrid cloud solution? Like, there's a lot of options here. Historically, of course, companies like Cisco and other big vendors that integrate smaller vendors struggle with that. So, but I'm very interested to see if Cloudflare can pull off the impossible and actually get their technology stacks talking.
Yeah, that's a good point. There could be a very compelling ingress story here if they can marry all these two things together. So yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will just say that I also very much echo the sentiment that this is good for the industry. Kind of validates everything. And there's another article we'll talk about later on in this episode that kind of does something similar. So we'll move on from this one, but there's a lot that could be said about this. So maybe a future episode or something, who knows?
And maybe if somebody out there from Cloudflare and Nefeli wants to show us how this thing's going to work, dude, we'd love to hear from you.
Yep, absolutely. So Chris, you want to take us away with the next one?
Sure. So yeah, we also have an article in here from techspot.com detailing that the Juniper shareholders have actually filed a lawsuit against the board of directors, insisting that the board and the executives are, kind of nefariously getting some undisclosed benefits from this acquisition from HPE that does not bode well. They call out that the shareholders are getting these unique benefits, which, I mean, this isn't completely unheard of. I think we've seen this before, but yeah, I'm curious to see where this one will go at the end of the day. But I don't know, how do you guys feel?
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot on this other than, to me, this is just starting to be a somewhat disturbing trend of, not that, not from the perspective of like execs taking advantage, like that shouldn't happen, obviously. I'm more worried about the precedent it sets about a small shareholder suing the entire company, and holding up like innovations or partnerships and mergers, acquisitions. Like there's just a lot. Like, this is the second one that I've seen this happen to, right? I think, like, obviously there was Elon just got sued for his salary package, and it was someone.
That's right.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought it was someone that has like 9 shares. That's kind of crazy that it's like this can start happening and screwing up like giant acquisitions like this. So I don't know. It's just something to watch out for.
So, I mean, we usually see it in another form, and that's probably why it seems new or different. Usually what you see is that kind of fiduciary responsibility piece where a shareholder can sue the board or a CEO for failing to do everything possible to maximize the, I forget, there's a name for it. And the name for that completely just flew out of my head right as I was saying it. But yeah, so it's not unheard of. Usually what it's used kind of in that respect, like, hey, it's nice to see it turned around for once where a shareholder is actually suing a company for something other than just, doing everything possible to maximize its value. But it's a very good point that, here we have the shareholders basically saying there's something else in the article as well, not just that the board and the executives are essentially getting golden parachutes and getting treated as a preferred, stock seller. But more that or as well, should I say, that, the price was really, it was something we also noticed, the price is really low and the value of the stock was not correctly measured. Right.
Yeah.
So, and we said it ourselves, right? We said $14 billion for Juniper Networks seems awful freaking cheap.
Yeah. That was one of the first things I called out, was man, that is a steal.
So yeah, I mean, there might be something to this, right? What kind of backdoor deals might have been made, and who knows, right? We're just speculating, but we ourselves, and I think many people thought holy crap, I can't believe Juniper only sold for 14 billion, and maybe there might be some more to this. Now, not to belabor, but a little more broadly, it is an interesting idea that anybody can buy shares of a company and essentially troll them through litigation. I think. I'm kind of curious. I don't think it happens that often, or if it does, it's somewhat summarily dismissed or quickly taken care of, because you just don't read about these stories very much. But it's interesting that the stock market allows that kind of stuff, right?
Right. And I'm not even saying that it's, it's good or bad. I'm just saying it's something for sure that keep an eye on, especially if it starts happening more and more, because you never know what these things spiral into. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, stall tactics are a thing in every facet of life. So, yeah.
Time kills all deals, right? The salespeople know that one.
Yep, exactly.
All right. Next one, Tim, you wanna take us away on this one?
Well, speaking of our good buddy Elon, we have an article here from TechCrunch. Elon Musk has apparently sued OpenAI for breach of contract. So, as with all Elon stories, this is really tangled, and I'll try to untangle it a bit. So Elon was an original investor for OpenAI, and so he gave them several million, I think 44 million or something like that, and he basically was telling them they needed to get funding. He was telling OpenAI, you need to get funding, or this is going nowhere, and so they did. So that's Sam Altman and whatnot. They created a for-profit arm for OpenAI. They started gathering funding, and anyway. So Elon then said basically, you guys aren't going to survive unless Tesla buys you, and he wanted to buy OpenAI at the time, which is right on brand. They refused. Elon walked and went and started his own AI company. Now he's suing OpenAI for breach of contract, like I said. And in response, OpenAI has actually released a bunch of emails detailing this interaction between Elon and the board. So, kind of who do you believe here? On one side, it seems like Elon is being the good guy, trying to get everybody to meet the contract that they set out and use AI for the benefit of mankind. On the other side, based on these emails, it looks like it might be more like, he wanted to buy the company, it didn't work out, and he started a competitor, and now he wants to kind of, crush the competition. So, I don't know. What do you guys think about this one?
It does seem a little bit like both things can be true, depending on your interpretation, right? And who you like and who you don't like. Because to me, at least it partly kind of seems like the point Elon is making is that he wanted them to raise money, of course, right? Because as he calls out in the emails, you need so much compute to do this that you need $1 billion a year, I think is what he said, or something like that in one of the emails. But I think his argument is that he wanted them to have donations and not be like a for-profit company to get that money. And I think that's where the crux of this argument comes. And of course, and then it's and then he probably got mad because Microsoft basically partnered up with them and gave them all that money. Right. So yeah, it's it's like you said, Tim, I mean, there's so much nuance behind all this, and it's like, are those all the emails? Like, is it, there's so much that we don't know and that we're seeing selectively. It's hard to tell what's really happening here.
Yeah, I don't think it's uncouth to say that I'm not relying on anything Elon's doing for the greater good of the world in today's age. I think you hit it right on the nail, Alex. I think what happened was obviously he had somewhat of an investment opportunity in there, wanted to make it his own, and then once Microsoft stepped in. And I love that they put this quote in here because I think this is probably what really just brought him with unbridled rage, and probably brought this upon them. But he was talking about GPT-4 being the best model out there, and it says we are waiting for the competition to arrive. It will arrive, I'm sure, but the fact is that we just have the leading LLM out there. So it was just we're waiting for the competition, just not even paying any attention to what Elon was doing, and he probably just couldn't fucking handle that, and it's done completely boiled over. As we can see, that where he usually reacts with emotion is not the most even keel guy out there. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
All right. Yeah, we won't belabor that for super long. I got 2 quick articles here. So one is from a blog that our buddy Will Collins sent over to me. It's andoverintel.com. Essentially, so the title is "What Enterprises Think They Got Wrong with the Cloud" is basically what this is about. And there's a lot of data in this article, a lot of numbers, but it's actually very well written and very well researched, and kind of shows from a decent sample size of what different people think that they got wrong with the cloud. There's a lot of things in here. There's some vendor blaming. There's some lift and shift issues, right? There's all the stuff that you would think of. But it's really cool to actually see kind of hard data to back up a lot of these claims that we've been hearing for years, and what people are pointing to as problems for what is going on with the cloud, especially all the FinOps stuff that's been going crazy. You guys have any thoughts about this one before I move to the next one?
But just real quick, I didn't think that. So the survey was 274 enterprises or something, and
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And 255 of them had underestimated how much the cloud would cost.
Yeah.
I thought that was great. And also, there's a whole section of this talking about how enterprises feel cheated and misled about cloud costs, and how much they were told by vendors that the cloud would cost. And I'm working with customers. Chris, you're working with customers every day. I'm specifically about optimizing cloud costs. So it's huge. It's on everybody's. Remember that? What was it? It was 2 weeks ago that we had that article where the CSPs were saying nobody cares about cloud costs anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Well, here's the alternate view. Yeah.
Here's the rebuttal, right in your face. It was great, right? It's something that I think a lot of us knew. It was kind of almost a duh thing, but it's good to see the receipts, if you will, on a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, and I think like you said, Tim, I talk to customers every day. Cost is definitely still a consideration. It's something we talk about ad nauseum every single day. One thing I really found interesting from this, like you said, Tim, of 274 enterprises, 208 said if they should have done something different had they been more thorough. And I think that was a really interesting point. It's because most of the people I talk to on a regular basis, rarely do they get it right the first time. You gotta get in, figure out what's hard, why things are painful, and then you adapt to it. I think there's definitely some opportunity there for making that easier for people that were late. There's still people that hadn't even really started their migration, right? So hopefully they can benefit from those stories. But yeah, we'll have to see.
Well, and on that vein, Chris, they call out a lot of people felt like they didn't push back hard enough when the executives were like, go, rush to the cloud right now, right?
Put it all in the cloud, right?
So
that's right.
I think, like you said, that's a really good, I hope CIOs are reading these kind of things, right?
And there was such a herd mentality
They're
with
not.
that.
They're not really
wishful thinking,
right? They're not.
But I mean, it's funny because rarely do you get such a good view at the top to realize what a herd mentality the whole thing tends to be. Like, let's read Gartner and follow the magic quadrant, and let's do what everybody else is doing. And you realize that some of these people are being paid 4 times your salary to do what everybody else is doing.
Absolutely. All right. The second one. So this is from Silver Linings blog. So it's Arista steals data center switch crown from Cisco in Q4. I wanted to add this one because while it's a significant thing to say that, the title, I think, to me is a bit misleading because it's really more that this just Q4. Okay, first I want to just put that into perspective. This has only happened in Q4. And it's kind of weird to me that what they're saying is they're hyperscaler. Like hyperscalers are the reason that they beat them. Is hyperscaler the same thing as enterprise data center? No. But this article makes it seem like those are the same things. And I didn't like how that data is kind of collected.
Yeah. Obfuscated. Kind of buried the lead on this one for sure.
Yeah. So I don't know. And to me also the bigger story point here is that if Arista is making more money off of the hyperscalers than Cisco's making from enterprise data centers, that should more show you how big the clouds are becoming compared to enterprise, right? Like that's the real story here. That's like the hidden message that to me that this has. So.
It's like if AWS places an order in Q3, they're going to just, like maybe somebody will win, like just on that, right?
That's the thing. It's like, oh, AWS is doing a refresh, right? Like, where's all the money's coming? Yeah. All right. Chris, you had a couple you wanted to talk about real quick?
Yeah. So one that we have here is an update from the Microsoft Azure blog. It's I will say it's a very kind of bare bones update from them, just talking about their service offerings and their partnerships related to multi-cloud networking. It kind of just covers things at a basic level: Azure Arc, Azure vWAN, VPN, couple integration partners, things like that. So it's not really that interesting necessarily if you've been working in this space for a while. But I think just the fact that it exists is interesting, in the sense that this is Microsoft finally coming to the table and acknowledging multi-cloud networking at a broader scale, right? We've seen this from OCI, we've seen this from GCP, which are obviously below Azure in the market share. So now we've got Azure, who is probably going to be eventually the number one, I would say.
Yeah,
this year probably.
Yeah, having a multi-cloud story, you know what I mean? So. I think just that impact alone, that combined with the the Cloudflare stuff that's happened this week, I feel like that's all huge for the MCN market. Maybe we are at the point where we can just start saying MCN. Maybe that's the
people will understand what we're talking about.
Yeah, finally. But yeah, so that's my take on that one. I don't know how you guys feel.
Yeah, no, this is great. So. It's somewhat validating running a multi-cloud networking podcast for the past year. And it's not like MCN is really new, but like it's, I feel like the Ron Paul gif, like it's happening. Like it's, like,
riding that wave. Yeah.
So this is great, right? I mean, Azure is, saying the MCN word. The thing is truthfully, no cloud provider, I don't care who you are, you can't pretend it doesn't exist anymore. It's done. Yeah. You cannot, nobody's going to be single cloud. It is, people will start in a single cloud probably, but nobody's going to stay there. They just need to fall in line and like everybody else and get multi-cloud going and make it as easy as possible for customers to move their workloads, do their identity in Azure if that's where they want to do it. Like all this stuff we've been talking about for the last year, right? So I'm all on board. This is about time.
Yeah. Again, another one to me that the hidden message, if you will, behind this is where's AWS? They've been the ones for so long that never really acknowledged as there are other clouds out there. And now we got OCI, GCP, and Azure all talking about this stuff. Like, if I'm AWS, man, this is a bigger deal than it seems like it is. And they need to get out in front of this and start really talking about that story and getting articles out there about what they do.
For what it's worth, they say hybrid cloud, but they mean it more as like a connectivity outside of the cloud thing. Right. And I think eventually hybrid cloud is probably will come to encompass the entire experience of inter and outside cloud connectivity. Like we talk about hybrid cloud today, right? So I think that might ultimately be the real thing. But I mean, when we're talking about between two clouds, it's multi-cloud, right? It's still the right term. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think the day that I'm watching a presentation from any one of these vendors, maybe AWS specifically, and I see the Azure logo or the GCP logo, that's what I know. Things have really hit, right? We've reached critical mass. Another one real quick that we'll cover. This isn't one that we'll talk about too deep, but AWS kind of on the tail of what GCP announced. I think we talked about it last 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, so now AWS is offering free data transfer out to the internet when moving out of AWS. We're thinking this is directly related to EU regulations that come with this. One thing I noticed, there's a limitation. I guess you can get an exception for this of 100 gigabytes per month from each region to the internet when moving out of AWS. One thing, I don't know if it was called out directly in this blog post or if I saw it somewhere else, but the AWS actually isn't requiring that you close your account. Whereas GCP, I remember they were like, you got to close out. You really got to close the door and leave.
Prove it.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas AWS is, it's, you leave it, it's there for when you want to come back type situation.
Yeah, it just says when you want to move out of the AWS blog that we're referencing specifically, it's a little bit vague. So yeah, I think you're right, Chris. It doesn't, because the GCP one was not vague at all, right? Like you will close your account, right? This just says when you want to move outside of AWS. So that's a good call out. They also point out that if you need more than 100 gigs, you basically contact support and they'll crank you like for free. So interesting stuff. And it is for this European Data Act. They actually do mention it in the blog post that it complies with the new European Data Act.
Makes sense. All right. And then, so I'll take this one real quick and then we'll hand it off the last one to you, Tim. Another AWS thing. Well, I guess this is Amazon, right? Not AWS.
This is Amazon.
Okay. Yeah. So this is from CNN Business. Amazon invests $4 billion in Anthropic AI in exchange for minority stake and further AWS integration. Again, not surprising, right? With all the investments, like Azure did with OpenAI. It's crazy times that we're in where 4 billion is considered a small amount, but it's these AI companies are just printing money like crazy. And it's not surprising, right? Amazon has to do something in the AI space. And I guess this is what they're going to continue to do with stuff like this. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. My favorite takeaway from that was Corey Quinn's tweet about it.
Yes. Corey Quinn always has the best takes.
What was it? It was like the AWS article about Anthropic mentions Anthropic 40 times or something like that. And then the Anthropic one mentioned AWS once or something like that. Or Amazon, I should say Amazon.
Yeah, there's definitely some. Yeah. Anyway,
love Corey.
Yeah, Corey is very good at the hot takes and specifically at the saying the quiet part out loud, if you will. So yeah, that was great.
His intrusive thoughts always win. Always.
So true. All right, so let's finish off this week. I know we're running a little long, and there was just so much to report on this week. So for those of us who do a lot of network labbing in the cloud, there's multiple traffic generators. A lot of people use iPerf or what is it? Ixia, Spirent. I don't know if Spirent has a cloud version, actually. It's what I used to use. But there's another traffic generator out there that's been out there for a while now called Ostinato. And what's interesting this week is the creator let us know that you can actually break over 100 gigs per second in the cloud now. Of course, you're going to potentially pay for that with your virtual machine to do it, but you can even do it, and we'll link the article in the show notes here. But you can even get down to like 64 byte packet sizes, which is insane. Like that's hard to do in the data center, much less in a cloud, right? Real. But it's pretty cool. It's an interesting to see the speed barriers like that broken. And we'll link it in the show notes, and hopefully you can, if you're into that, if that's what you do, especially as a job, if you're doing benchmarking and stuff, take a look.
Pretty cool. Yeah, if you've ever worked with voice over IP in your life, seeing throughput like that at 64 megabytes,
that's what it is, right?
Yeah,
that's
right.
VoIP.
Yeah.
It's VoIP traffic.
All right. So that was it. That was the last of our articles. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Share this around, hit that like button, subscribe everywhere you can. Again, if anybody wants to come on and talk about any of this stuff, we're more than happy to listen. Hit us up anywhere on socials, email, what have you.
Follow us on TikTok. Oddly enough, our TikTok following is growing. Alex will not look at it.
I won't.
For some reason, he's so strong in his.
That's true.
After
the State of the Union,
pretty soon I'm going to be the only one that can look at it. So,
Chris will have to maintain our TikTok after this.
But yeah, follow us on TikTok. We'll see where that goes. We're now more popular on TikTok than we are on Twitter, so that's something.
It's because you got to call it X, man. That's.
I'm not.
We're gonna. I hestate to make the obligatory Fortnite reference as to why we're bigger on TikTok. But,
we got shit for that already. So we almost finished. We were almost done. You just had to squeeze it in.
I kind of had to now, right? If somebody's gonna call us out for it, might as well lean right in.
Pull a Tim Cook, and one more thing.
Yeah. All right. With that, for real, we'll get out of here. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in.
Yep. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. It's Alex, and this has been the Cables to Clouds podcast. Thanks for tuning in today. If you enjoyed our show, please subscribe to us in your favorite podcatcher, as well as subscribe and turn on notifications for our YouTube channel to be notified of all of our new episodes. Follow us on socials at Cables2Clouds. You could also visit our website for all of the show notes at cablestoclouds.com. Thanks again for listening, and see you next time.